and the topic for today is how to turn film festival buzz into theatrical streaming breakthroughs. All right, so let's dive straight into today's topic. And part of the reason why I like this panel is because we have someone from finance, we have filmmakers, we have somebody from TikTok, which is because nowadays your film can't do well if it doesn't have the right buzz. So I like the fact that we have someone from TikTok here. So I'm going to start with Funmbi again. So, and the reason why I'm starting with Funmbi is, so Funmbi produced a movie called My Father's Shadow that did really well at international film festivals. You know, London Film Festival, Cannes, and the film was, you know, it got all the applause, all the nods, even got, I think, 8 nominations at the London Film Festival, if I'm correct.
12 nominations.
12 nominations, you see. And then from there, she had to take the film also to the cinema. So I think my first question to Funmbi would be, the idea of first even putting up your film at the film festival before the cinema route, was it strategic?
Yes, the festival is first and foremost a place for visibility for filmmakers. It's the place where you put your film because you want other people to know that you are capable, you want other people to see your skill, you want other people to like view your story, right? So it's both a place for visibility, and it's also a place for you to sell as well. Most of the film festivals have a content market where, you know, alongside the festival, people are constantly making deals, right? And based on the critical acclaim that you get while you are screening your film at a festival, your price can go up, right? And so with us, it was definitely very strategic. I think, you know, our story is a Nigerian story. It was shot in Lagos and Ibadan. We filmed last year. And from when we filmed up until when we got announced that we were selected at Cannes, we really just wanted to get this story as widely seen as possible. We wanted our languages, Yoruba and Pidgin, to become languages that people are familiar with on the international scene, right? If you can watch a Korean movie, why can you not watch a Yoruba movie? You know, that kind of thing. And that's truly what we believe in Fatherland. So it was very strategic for us to release at a festival, but it was also a way, you know, for us to try and get some critical acclaim for this Nigerian story. And then after that, we brought the film to Nigeria. So Nigeria was actually the very first place that we released the film in the cinema in all the countries in the world. And it was significant for us to do that again, because if you made the film at home, then bring the film back home, right? Let the film actually be seen by the people who it speaks about and it speaks to. So to answer the question, yes, it was very strategic for us to do that.
Essay. So festival acclaim versus audience appeal. As a filmmaker, which would you rather go for?
So I always say something to anyone that cares to listen, and even to my team members. I say, I don't create content for myself. I create content for the audience.
Yeah.
It's like a chef cooking. They don't eat all the cook necessarily. So I would always choose the audience over a critically acclaimed tag. Mm-hmm. However, because I'm also an executive and businesswoman, right? Whilst I'm trying to feed the audience and give them what they would enjoy, it's also great to have that critical acclaim in a festival, because like Funmbi said, it helps make sure that your bargaining power is rising at every point in time, and whatever it is you've put in the film, whatever monies or grants or investments you've gotten to make that film, you're able to pay back the loans and also still, you know, maintain some sort of profit. So yeah, both for me, I would say work hand in hand, but I always leave, and I've always swore to always serve the audience. So for me, audience comes first, but I also have to make money.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. So and I'm coming to Mr. Jide now, because Mr. Jide is the money guy. So before you decide to invest in a project, what are the things you look at? Do you think the fact that a film, like a Funmbi's film, for instance, you know, that had this huge applause from festival, is it a plus to investing in a film? Like putting a Funmbi's film and another film who hasn't gone through that festival route, which would you pick first? Or rather,
Okay.
which
And he has not invested in my film.
please say it in the
That's
mic,
why
yes,
this
say
is
it
a setup.
louder.
I've known Jide for such a long time, and he has
Yeah.
not invested in my films. So I love this question. Thank you so much.
Honestly, I'm going to answer that question as honestly as possible because first, I don't own the money that the bank has. All right. So first, even if I'm going to support any production, it's important for me to see where the money is coming from, in terms of how are you going to pay me back. Because we are in a business to make money. And unfortunately, we remove sentiments when it comes to collecting our money back. So first of all, before you even come to us for any loan or support, you have to think about it. How viable is this production? And this has nothing to do with, for me now, I'm not even thinking about the audience or the critically acclaimed type of movies. Mine is, how viable is it? How are you going to convince me that it's going to make money and you are going to pay the money back? Because if I don't get the money back, how do I give the next person that has come to ask for the money to do their own production? It's like a cycle. So you always need to give out so that it can come back and then you give out to someone else. But there are some instances, so I'm going to now talk to my friend. There are some instances, and I mean, if you're going to do something really big, I'm not sure. I mean, in a few cases, you can get some grants and you can get some support where people are not necessarily thinking in terms of how do I get my money back. But those are very few instances, and you have to do a lot of work and convincing, and you must have like testimonials to be able to prove that this thing that you need grant for, or support or sponsorship for, you would at least do well with it. But for most cases where we want to invest, we want our money back. So you need to convince us, what's your marketing plan? How viable is it? Where are you taking it to? What's the audience size? What's the scalability of this movie? After this movie, would you probably have episode 2 or version 2? Because we know that from the success of this one, we know that the next one will be successful. And that's why you've seen some projects that they've done part 1. It was hugely successful. It's a no-brainer. You want to put your money back there because you feel like at least the second one will most likely succeed as well. You know, so we need to look at all of those things and put it together in a box to say, how would my money come back? And if it's a case where we just want to support you, it's not going to be, we might not be thinking about in terms of scale or anything. We're just thinking maybe the storytelling is good for the culture, is good for Nigeria, is good for, you know, celebrating something that we hold on to strongly. So many things to look at, but for me, it's, you just find a way to pay me back my money.
So as an actor, how, like if a filmmaker tells you that, would you rather go with a film that says this is just pure festival rounds and then it ends there, than another one who says, I don't think I'll really do the festival routes because I have someone like a Mr. Jide on my back who needs his money back, and I would just go the audience route. Which one would you pick?
That's a very good question. I think, and you know, there are a lot of filmmakers here. There's also talent here as well. Once your film starts off on a festival track, in addition to distributors and other producers seeing the film and the viability of its, you know, success, other filmmakers as well, directors, you know, watch these films and they say, what that guy is doing, he's exactly like a character I'm working on. Let me get in touch with his representation. I might need him for XYZ. So for talent, it also broadens you open to a global field of other creatives that you can work with as well. And then eventually, if the film really does well on the festival route, you know, like we had Lost Okoroshi, which went in 2019 with Abba Makama, which went from Toronto to London. I also had Walking with Shadows, which went to London Film Festival as well. So it sort of snowballs, and then before you know, you become, you know, I guess, known on the festival route and easier to identify. And they say, that Ozzy guy, we need to work with Ozzy. So through festivals, I've been able to do certain things that I never would have thought that, were open to me as talent. But yeah, so there are benefits for both. It just depends on how you want to tailor your career as talent.
Thank you, Ozzy. So, how important is virality to the success of a film?
Very interesting question. So I think anyone can go viral, right? Anybody can go viral.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, specifically when it comes to TikTok, we're starting to position it as a full funnel marketing solution, a platform.
Okay.
And it's less about the virality, but the story that you're telling. What's important is the quality of that content. But when it comes to festivals and going viral, what we usually do is we pair a particular festival with a content creator. What we have seen is that content creators are the new voices for filmmakers. And so what we're trying to do is really get into the film space where filmmakers themselves can really see how important it is to show up and be visible on the platform. So I would say, yes, anybody can go viral on TikTok, but it's less about the virality and more about the content and really honing in and building that audience on TikTok that will then translate into an outside audience. Because of course you build a community on TikTok, which is really great, but does it also translate into them going to watch a particular movie, going to stream a particular TV show? So I would say less about the virality, but more about the content and the story that you're telling on the platform.
Okay, fantastic. For instance, your film Funmbi that did well at the film festival. How do you build on that momentum?
For me, like the release of My Father's Shadow in Nigeria was such a learning curve for me. But it revalidated this thing that I've always preached, and I'm a big evangelist of, which is that African stories are primed for this sweet spot where they are artistically nuanced, but they are also commercially viable. If you watch My Father's Shadow, the experience that you would feel is the characters, the streets, the people, you are hearing your language, it is you on the screen. So we just played to that. In marketing, one of the things I realized is people would always tell you, if you take your film to a festival, then you can't do well in the cinema, but that's not true. The gap is in the marketing. It's in how you find your audience and how you target your audience. And with us, one of the things that we did was we played to every single, every single buzz that the film already had. But we also played to just the human nature of what the story was. The backdrop of the film is the June 12, 1993 election crisis. How many people here know what June 12 is about? Raise your hand. Hey, God. This is why we marketed the film in this way. What we then did was we did a thing on socials called Stories from June 12, where we found parents who were alive during the election crisis. We paired them with their children or younger people if they were not their children. And the young people asked them questions about what it was like to live during that time. I mean, it was like 10 minutes, and we released it on YouTube, we released it on Instagram, we released it on X and so many other platforms. And it was a hit, and it was successful. And why? Because, again, we took something that was already a core fundamental thing in the film, and we said there is a demographic and there is an audience that does not know any. You hear June 12 and they say Democracy Day, is not Democracy Day. We know what it was. Do you understand? Yeah. And how that has shaped the entire history of this country, and even till now, a big proponent of our film is actually, the next layer for us is taking the film to the universities. So we're going to do a university tour of My Father's Shadow in Nigeria, I need to speak to you about that actually. because for us, we realize that there is a gap. Like if I'm going to say that, like, oh, we want the audience to come out with African stories, and I think with Nigerian stories, especially since we're at home, you have to go out and find your audience. You have to build the community. And sometimes as filmmakers, it can be being a filmmaker, you are your own system. You are your own financier. You are your own distributor. You are your own producer. You are your own marketing agency. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it at the end of the day. When you see people commenting and talking about how, oh my God, I didn't know that this actually happened. One of my favorite comments of My Father's Shadow, when we released it, there was a street that is, that we shot on My Father's Shadow on, and there was like an older couple next to her. And the man then said, oh, he remembers this day during the annulment. And he remembers how he was literally running on that same street. So I think this is what the power of storytelling does anyway, how it brings people together. And the key thing that does that is in marketing is just being authentic to the audience that you want to speak to and engaging them where they are at. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you. So I saw Essay was nodding like this. When Funmbi was saying your own days, she was like, yes, I can relate. So what are the gaps really in this film industry world where it's just one person that has to go source for funds, still that person that has to sit down, think about the marketing strategy for the film, like it's a whole lot. So I feel that there are gaps structurally that needs to be filled. So what's your dream world? What would be the ideal utopia for you as a filmmaker?
To be fair, if you ask me, what is my dream world? I want to just create. All I want to do is develop good stories and shoot them. I don't want to burden myself with looking for money or marketing strategies or who's a distributor. I just feel like that's too executive for me.
Yeah.
It's hard when you are in Nigeria as a filmmaker, but you still have to wear several hats. You have to market your film, you have to look for distributors, you have to source for funds. Like I was saying to you before we came in here at the green room, I said, I just finished the production last week, and I came back this week to Lagos, and sourcing for the financing of that film was chaotic, But I mean, I thank God it still pulled through, but like it was just, I don't have to go through that stress. If we have a structure, a system where we don't give monies under the tables. We give money and it's clear. Everybody knows who collected what. It would work that way, and we creatives can just become creatives. Because going through all of the things you go through as a producer, director, development executive, still having to become an executive in terms of marketing, distribution, it's wearing too many hats. And I don't think it makes it easy for us, and that's why sometimes people might say our stories are substandard, our films don't do well, we didn't do enough marketing, we didn't do this, because one person is at the helm of affairs of everything. One person is thinking, is shooting, is breathing, is doing everything. So I know that's something that will not stop today. It's been happening from time immemorial in Nigeria, but I think we need to start learning to work and learn how to do things the way the Western world does it. I'm sure Funmbi can speak to this. When you guys worked with the BFI team on My Father's Shadow, you didn't have to think about everything, Funmbi.
I'm grateful for the process. It was not easy. It was very difficult and very challenging, but I'm grateful for it. You know why? Because now if you give me, when we're doing our next film, I know how to bake my marketing in from the beginning. Like, you're not going to tell me twice. Like, I know how to do that. I know what I'm going to do to develop my community from the beginning. And, one of the things for us was just making sure that we were also not trying to be anything, because marketing is its own budget.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so that's why I said from the beginning, because what I'm going to put inside the budget for the next one for marketing is going to be crazy, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to use that money for. I'm going to tell you exactly the community that I'm going to engage with from the beginning. You know what I mean? So like it was difficult because for us, we had to take up a lot of the financing of the marketing by ourselves. right? And it wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
I've been so grateful to wear the hat of a creator and also a TV executive. Because what I find with most filmmakers with Funmbi's experience is, so the money comes in, right? And then what creatives do is they just pour everything on the creative aspect of the film, stripping away the other part of, it'd be nice to have a digital guy somewhere, budget for a digital guy somewhere for promotion, budget for, like I said, a marketing person somewhere, just to have that structure, you know? So someone from the TV executive industry who has an aerial view of how the pipeline of this thing works is always there. Like if your film, for instance, is with a TV network, then the TV executive is there to guide you to say, no, you need to allocate this here, this here, this here. But Funmbi now had to learn from experience, which they say is the best teacher.
Is the best and the most painful.
Funmbi had to learn with a lot of resources. How about filmmakers who, I'm not saying, some filmmakers don't even have that much resources, to even learn with.
Yeah.
So it's like a tug of war, trying to beg this, beg that to help you post your film, because you don't have the money. So even having the money is still a hard work. Now imagine not having it and having to still do that same work.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like double
but if there was a
jeopardy.
structure, like you said, where okay, when I'm done with my film, I can take my film to him and say, I have a film, but I want you to give me a marketing budget that I can then pay to experts who can market my film properly. It will take off the weight from the filmmaker,
Definitely.
and that's a structure I think we don't necessarily have right now in Nollywood.
Yeah, we don't have. And speaking about money again, so guys like Mr. Jide, who have invested in your film and they want their money back, what you find with filmmakers nowadays is they begin to hire content creators that are popular online as actors. Yes, that's what's happening. That's what's happening now. The funny guy and all the guys that people love, just so that my film will sell. Ozzy, I'm going to ask you, as an actor, number one, how does that make you feel? And then number two, from the TikTok woman's perspective, do you think that actually... Because TikTok, social media, the whole buzz, do you think that actually guarantees the fact that this movie will sell? Does it really help? Do you think it helps?
Should I go first?
Yes.
I don't think it necessarily helps. Yes, it may create some visibility and conversation, perhaps. But does it translate? At the end of the day, we need to remember that the audience is very aware. I think we're in a time where the audience is very aware, they're very intelligent, and they can tell talent versus lack thereof. Or maybe, when a filmmaker is just using a content creator to maybe boost the visibility of that particular movie. But I think this is a conversation that's been happening across, actually, and it's quite a contentious one, where actors even in South Africa say content creators are taking our jobs, for example. But I think what should be happening is that content creators are great at what I said earlier, helping amplify the story. And it should be less about putting them in front of the camera. Yes, there are content creators that are talented and in their own right. Perhaps they went to film school, they are good actors. But I think there needs to be a very good balance, even with that. A content creator that has talent versus a content creator that's just a content creator. And we need to just let content creators be content creators at the end of the day. So I wouldn't say, I don't really have case studies that prove that a particular show or a movie did really well just by virtue of casting a content creator. But I think there should be ways to strike that balance and let talent be talent and content creators be content creators.
That was nice. That was, yeah. I thought we were going to lock horns now and clash, but yes, fight averted. I think personally, how I feel is, I think there was a learning curve that the industry had to catch up with, because when social media came into play, that was the big sell, that if you get numbers on social media, automatically it would translate to, what's it called? Butts in seats in the cinema. So I think now the industry has caught on that it's not, it's not like correlation. It's not guaranteed. As talent, what I find personally is the pressure, because, producers might look at your social media following and say, well, she has 30,000 followers, but this other content creator has 150,000. So let's go with this 150,000, which you can't quantify talent with those kinds of numbers. It's a disservice to the talent. And oh God, the train. I just lost my train of thought. So yes, 30,000, 150. Yes, It doesn't quantify talent. And what that does is it now places pressure on the actual talent to start learning how to be a content producer, thereby taking away time that they could have been using to perfect their craft, So everybody loses. So you want talent to, do the talent, like move us emotionally, with your performance and your creativity, and then let someone else amplify the story.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Great. So I would like to really thank Funmbi, Jide, Essay, Vivian, and Ozzy for a very insightful session. This was really good. We set out to have a practical session where we can dissect all of these things, and I think we actually did achieve that. Yes, so thank you very much.
Thank you too.